Okay, please join me in God's show to begin my Dharma message. Namo Amitabhats, Namo Amitabhats, Namo Amitabhats, Namandab, 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 Namandab. はい、おはようございます。Good morning. Yeah, so today's gather was Shinshu Shuka. That's a really fancy version of the Shinshu Shuka. That's a nice with nice music. Then this service book, you can also find the English translation on the page 80. So if you want to know the lyrics, please go to the page, open the page 80. So then today is the last Sunday service in 2025. Then already end of the year. Then Joya service on December 31st, and then New Year's Day service is on January 1st. So then we welcome the New Year. Then after New Year, you know, one big event is coming soon. That is Northwest Convention, the BCA National Council meeting. So that's what in February 14th and 15th. So after Sunday service, we have a Dharma exchange on the Northwest Convention workshop. We talked about Northwest Convention workshop. So if you have time, please stay for the workshop. Then, well, one of the workshop I requested is Rennyo Shonin's letter. How can I do? What's in this? Click. Oh. Rennyo Shonin's letter. Wow, that's good. So Rennyo Shonin was our 8th religious leader, Gobunsho. He was born in 1415, then passed away 1499. So that's amazing. You know, almost 500 years ago, he lived up to 85 years old. 85 years of his life. So then Seattle Betsuin has translated into English. Rennyo's letter translated into English. Then now we try to republish the book. So this is the cover page, the image, cover page. So then this Rennyo Shonin's image. Oh, no, okay. Well, Rennyo Shonin's image, I requested to the Honganji to get the permission to use this image. So this is kind of official Rennyo Shonin's image. So then hopefully, while we are trying work, the committee is working so hard to publish this Seattle Betsuin's translation before the Northwest Convention. So by the time when we have a Northwest Convention workshop, so we have the book, so physical book, paper copy, so be available. Then as I mentioned, Rennyo Shonin is one really important person in your Jodo Shinshu tradition. So he became an 8th religious leader when he was 40-something years old. Then after that, he made so much effort to spread the Jodo Shinshu teaching. Then he traveled, he visited, moved different locations, then creating the Sangha. Then one of the way of his propagation was writing a letter. He wrote lots of letters to the members and to the ministers, because when he was moving to different locations, writing letter was the only way to communicate. No email, no Zoom meeting, no cell phone at all. So at that time, writing a letter is one important way to communicate or spread the teaching to the members. So that's why he wrote lots of letters to the people. Then you can imagine, 500 years ago, we cannot expect everyone to be able to read the letters, right? In the town, in a city or village, maybe just a few people be able to read it. So that's why one person came in front just like me sitting, standing in front. Then everybody else is sitting. Then the person who are able to read the letter can read aloud. Then everybody else listen. So that's a way how spread the Rennyo Shonin's word. So that tradition we carried. So then even today, when you go to Honganji, so in the morning service, every morning they are reading the Rennyo Shonin's letter. Just one assigned minister read the Rennyo Shonin's letter, then everyone listen. That's a way how we listen to Rennyo Shonin's word. So then, because Rennyo Shonin wrote so many letters, his grandson, Rennyo, his name is Rennyo, tried to collect all the letters. Then, according to the record, he collected 265 letters. 265 letters. Then that was after 22 years after Rennyo Shonin's passing, so almost 23rd year memorial service for Rennyo Shonin. I think that was his project for the Rennyo Shonin's one certain year for the Rennyo Shonin's, in memory of Rennyo Shonin. He worked so hard to collect 265 letters. Of course, some, the contents of the letter maybe duplicate. Some contents duplicate. So that's why among 265, Rennyo collected 80 important letters, then compiled in the books. So then that was passing down to the generation to generation. That's even today we are using that book. That English translation was, of course, that Rennyo's letter was brought to United States too. Then 1948, Seattle Lotus Central Religious Committee and Seattle Betsuin's Religious Department, they started translated into English in 1948. If you know the history of Japanese American, those history, we understand, that's just a few years after, our Sangha member came back to Seattle. Just 1948, the World War II ended 1945. I think still people are recovering from the World War II, but at that time, Seattle Betsuin started the translation project. Then took almost 30 years to publish English translation of Rennyo's letter. According to the original one, it said 1976. Those English translation of Rennyo's letter was published. That was 1 year before I was born. So I think, maybe, possibly, it is the really first English translation of the Rennyo's letter. So that was way before other scholars or maybe Honganji translated into English. Maybe just, 1, 2, 3, just a couple letters, some ministers were, someone maybe translated into English, but Seattle Betsuin, all 80 letters plus 5 additional important letters, Seattle Betsuin translated into English. So that book, that translation, we try to republish. So 1976, I think it is the year Seattle Betsuin celebrated 75th anniversary of the establishment of Seattle Betsuin Buddhist Temple. So then next year, we are celebrating 125th anniversary of Seattle Betsuin Buddhist Temple. So that's, I think, we didn't plan. We wanted to republish this book maybe 2 years before next year, but because so many things happens that we are able to publish next year commemorate the 125th year anniversary. That is kind of, to me, it is coincidence, but I would say the karma. karmic conditions. 75th original one was published. The 125th, we are republishing this book. So then, of course, with having the religious, the Buddhist minister's guidance, the lay person made so much effort to translate from Japanese to English. So today, I'd like to introduce one letter. So this is equal, I can use this one. It's a Hachiman Hōzōshō. You can find this letter in this orange book. Page 63. English translation is on the page 63. Then Japanese, page 64. Alphabet is page 65. So Hachiman no Hōzōshō, the English translation in the orange service book, this book, it's a 80,000 Dharma teachings. The Seattle Betsuin's translation, it's a chapter on the 80,000 sutras. So I would like to go section by section to compare the difference between orange, this book, and Seattle Betsuin's English translation. That's kind of interesting. This is one of the latest English translation. The Seattle Betsuin one, maybe 50, 60 years old English translation. I don't know which you like. So you can compare. Well, you don't have to judge, which is better or not. But it might be, makes us deeper understanding and appreciation of Gobunsho letter. Okay, the first section. The Honganji, those who are not concerned about their afterlife are considered to be ignorant person, even though they may be well versed in 80,000 Dharma teachings. Then Seattle Betsuin one. Well, I have computer in front of me. Why I'm looking at the screen. I'm not used to using the computer yet. Okay, let's see. Okay, the Seattle Betsuin, it is said those who are not aware of the life to come are deemed ignorant, although they may understand 80,000 of sutra. So one difference I found is Gosho no Ichidaiji in Japanese. So Honganji's translation, it says their afterlife. Then Seattle Betsuin's translation, the life to come. That's one difference. In Japanese, it is Gosho no Ichidaiji. So this is one of the important things we have to always think about as a Jodo Shinshu follower. The next section. The Honganji's translation, those who have resolved the matter of the afterlife are described as wise person, even if they are illiterate laymen or laywomen, so it is said. The Seattle Betsuin's translation, those who know of the life to come are deemed wise, though religiously, these devoted followers may be totally unlettered men and women. So this is a English translation of Honganji and Seattle Betsuin one. So the one thing I focusing on is it say at very, very end of this translation, it's this section, it say Honganji one it's a lay men or lay women. But Seattle Betsuin one just say men or women. So when I read the Japanese, it's a ama nyudo. That's an original word. The first understanding of ama nyudo is ama is nun, the women who are ordained. The nyudo is ordained person. So I thought, my first impression was, oh, this is talking about the Buddhist nun. But then I started researching. But the Rennyo Shonin's intention is probably just men and women. Doesn't have to be lay or ordained. So, but I feel Honganji choose to say laymen or lay women because this letter was sent to the Sangha members. So I think that's really, when I was reading these two translations, I started researching which one is more accurate. I think both accurate. It is really interesting, and I really appreciate to compare these two English translations. Okay, next one. The Honganji. Therefore, in our tradition, we should know that for those who study various scriptures and are knowledgeable about Buddhism, all is in vain if they are ignorant of the single thought of entrusting. Seattle Betsuin translation. Thus, the central thought of Jodo Shinshu has always been to know that though one may study the various sutras and possess a wide knowledge of worldly matters, he who does not know of the teaching of Shinjin faith, instantaneous with total reliance upon Amida Buddha, is engaged in meaningless pursuit. So it is also talking about the Shinjin. Today's translation is entrusting, use the word of entrusting, single thought of entrusting, single thought of entrusting. But Seattle Betsuin translation, it's using the Japanese term, Shinjin, Shinjin, faith, Shinjin, faith. There's no translation. Even today, it is not easy to translate Shinjin into English. Even, if I say Shinjin in Japanese, in Japan, most people misunderstand, not the Jodo Shinshu way. So that's why we need an explanation. But Seattle Betsuin translation using the term of Shinjin faith. That's 60 years ago's translation. Okay, the next. Then, hence, in the words of Shinran Shonin, we find no one male or female will ever be saved without entrusting oneself to Amida's primal vow. Then Seattle Betsuin translation. Moreover, in the words of Shinran Shonin, he has said, no man or woman will ever be delivered without faith in Amida's primal vow. It's a Honganji's translation. It's used saved. The Seattle Betsuin one was used delivered. I think this is almost the end of last section of this letter. The Honganji translation. For this reason, all women who abandon various practices and deeply rely on Amida Buddha with a single thought of entrusting, while convinced of their emancipation in the afterlife, will be born in Amida's fulfilled land, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100. There should not be any doubt about this. The Seattle Betsuin one, thus, in respective of what level of women they may be, those who abandon all the sundry practices and in that instant of Shinjin, deeply place total reliance in Amida Buddha for the life to come, be there 10 or 100, all will be reborn in Amida's land of recompenses. So then it is, compare these two, it is really interesting. Seattle Betsuin Honganji, the last lines, there should not be any doubt about this. But Seattle Betsuin one, some reason, there's no translation of this last sentence. So then when I wrote, when I read this letter, then I also studied a little bit about this letter, Rennyo Shonin's letter, 500 years ago. There was some kind of discrimination against the female woman. So then women cannot do the Buddhist practice, women cannot do certain things, women cannot be born into the Pure Land. That type of understanding was spread all over Japan. But Rennyo Shonin, using this letter to telling everyone, including women, there's a path to follow. Don't worry, doesn't matter if you are men or women, young or old, if you are wise or scholarly wise or not. That's not the point of the Jodo Shinshu teachings. This letter is clearly said, once if you have Shinjin entrusting heart to Amida Buddha, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100, everyone without fail to be born into the Amida Buddha's Pure Land. So we can understand, 500 years ago, that was one of the big issue in the society. How women can do. That was a big issue. To answer these questions, I believe Rennyo Shonin wrote this letter. Everyone, those men, the women, young, old, scholarly wise or not, these are not the issue in Jodo Shinshu. Everyone, you are all embraced and will be born into the Amida Buddha's Pure Land. So this is one translation, just one letter. Then I think it is nice to sometimes compare, other translation and Seattle Betsuin's translation, one of the original, the first English translation of the Gobunsho letter. Then I can deepen my appreciation and understanding of Jodo Shinshu teaching. To conclude my Dharma message today, I read this Hachiman Hozo Sho in Japanese. So please listen deeply the words of Rennyo Shonin. You can, while I'm reading, you can also read the English translation on the page 63. So please listen deeply the words of Rennyo Shonin. それ八万の法蔵を知るというとも御世を知らざる人を愚者とす。たとえ一文淵の天入道なりというとも御世を知るを知者とすと言えり。しかれば当流の心はあながちにもろもろの商業を読み、ものを知りたりというとも、一年の新人の言われを知らざる人は、いたずらごとなりと知るべし。されば、上人の御言葉にも、一切の男女たらんみは、皆の本願の信ぜずしては、ふつと助かるということあるべからずと仰せられたり、このゆえにいかなる女人なりというとも、もろもろの造業を捨てて、一年に皆如来今度の御所を助けたまえと深く頼み申さん人は10人も100人も皆共に皆の報道に往生すべきことさらさら疑いあるべからざるものなり。あなかしこ、あなかしこ、 Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Nama, 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 Nama. Okay, thank you. Well, maybe during the refreshment, I appreciate if you can tell me the difference, which do you like? The one of English translations. Yeah, I want to hear those who understand the English, not the Japanese. I want to know the difference between Honganji's translation and Sarah Betsuin's translation. Thank you.